Hey, good day, Dan here again, and in this video, I am going to share to you on how to configure Edge router. What I have here is an Edge router 4 device, as you can see on the screen below. The web graphical user interface Edge router 8 is the same with Edge router 4. The difference is that the specs, Edge router 4 only has 3 gigabit interfaces with one interface for fiber connection, but ER8 has 8 gigabit interfaces and then 2 fiber connections. In this video, I am going to do the following task. We have stacks to do. Number one is we're going to reset Ubiquiti ER4 to factory settings, and then we're going to configure dual ISP with failover setup. And then number three, we're going to configure the basic settings and enable traffic analysis. We're going to enhance failover config in task number five, and the last one is we're going to test the internet connectivity and failover configuration. This is the diagram for the configuration. S1 will be set as our primary ISP with static IP addresses. This one, and then secondary is with the following static IP addresses. And we're going to have interface to our LAN 1 with a network address of 172.16.16.0/24. Okay, so without very much ado, let's go to step number one. We're going to reset this device using the reset button. In order to reset an edge router, you're going to check first the status of the router if it's up already. So this one status lead indicator should be steady white or steady blue, and then you are going to press and hold the reset button for 10 seconds or 15 seconds, and then you're going to check the light indicators in here. 0, 1, 2, 3 lights will be lighting up, and then after lead indicator 3 and lead indicator 0 where lights up again, you're going to release the reset button so that the default configuration of the router will be resetted. So okay, we're going to reset now the router. As you can see, I have a paper clip in here. I'm pressing now the reset button and see the light indicator in here. I'm pressing it now. Let's wait for a while for the lead light indicator to start lighting up 0, 1, 2, and 3, and then goes back to interface 0 lead indicator, and then we're going to release the reset button. Alright, pressing now the reset button. As you can see, lead light indicator 3 is blinking, and then it will lights up lead indicator 0, then 1, 2, and then 3, and then goes back to 0, and then we're going to release the holding up the reset button. As you can see on the status light indicator for the router, it's steady blue. As you can see, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, then release the button. Alright, the router is now in the process of resetting, and then it will reboot. So while the router is being in the process of reset, I'm going to plug a LAN cable. I have here a T568B LAN cable. Let's plug in our laptop to interface 0 of the router, and then plug in the laptop. And then I'm going to assign a static IP on our laptop. Static IP, by default, each router has an IP address of 192.168.1.1. So let's have our laptop a configured IP address of 192.168.1.10. Let's have the mask with 255/24 and that. Then hit OK, OK. Close that, close. And then let's ping in the router if it reboots already. -T persistent on that. OK. And as you can see, we have a ping now. We're going to pop in Google Chrome and then connect onto the router using its web interface. Oop. As you can see, we have a certificate error going to the web interface. Let's click proceed. And by default, it is UBNT. And now we are on the dashboard. So hit no and do not share. So we're done with task number one, resetting the device. It's now on default factory settings. Let's proceed to task number two, which is going to configure a dual ISP with failover. So it's 0 primary, that is PLDT. S2 is secondary, that is RISE. So to do that, go back to the dashboard and then wizards, go to load balancing. And then interface 0, we're going to have static IP on that, and then put in here the static IP details for PLDT. So that is 105.146.118.31. Gateway is 105.146.118.8. I mean 218.1, and then DNS is 51.71.138 slash 26. Gateway is, then the DNS is, and then let's proceed to interface 2, which is our secondary. That is, I mean, interface 1, secondary, static IP, the same. Its addresses is 103.83.227.156. Gateway is 103.83.227.129. And then later on, we're going to add the DNS for our secondary ISP. Interface 2, static, paste in here, slash 6 the same. And then gateway, paste. And then do not forget to have this failover only. Check, as this will enable our secondary ISP backup. And then our LAN interface, that is S2, and network address is 172.16.16.0/24. So 172.16.16.0. This is one, and then yeah, that's it. And let's have that DHCP enabled, and then let's create another user. Overwriting the old default user. I mean, some master in that. So that's it. Apply, and then apply changes. Reboot the router. Reboot now. Yes, I'm sure. So the router is now in the process of rebooting to take effect our dual ISP configuration. So I'm going to set our laptop to obtain an IP address. First things first, I'm just going to plug in our cables for the ISP. So I have two LAN cables here. This one is for PLDT. Just going to unplug the LAN cable from laptop. Let's plug it to S2, our LAN interface, and then PLDT is our primary. So let's have this cable in S0. Then I have here cable from RISE, our secondary ISP. Alright. So primary ISP, PLDT, secondary RISE, going to our laptop the LAN network interface 2. So let's set our laptop to obtain IP address on a DHCP server of the router. Obtain, okay. Then let's config, release, and renew. Yeah, so we have obtained an IP address of 172.16.16.38, which is in range of our network 172.16.16.0/24, and that's so continue the configuration. Let's go to the task number 3, configure the basic settings on the router. So let's log in back to the dashboard. This is the router IP address now. So our newly created user is master and master. Click login. Okay, so to configure basic settings, let's go to system, and then yeah, in here let's set the host name of the router. Let's have this test router. Then set the time zone to time zone, and then Asia. Country is Philippines. Time zone is all. And in here, let's add the DNS server of our secondary ISP, which is this one, 43.226.6.69. Let's copy paste in that. And then let's add public Google DNS. Let's add also 888.4.4. Nice. So we're just going to disable UNMS. So with Ubuntu Discovery. So that's it. Save now. As you can see, configuration is now being saved. In the process of saving, CPU utilization goes up in the saving process. You can verify that the config is being saved when you can see this host name changes to test router, as we have configured it to test router in the basic settings. So all good now. Proceeding to task number 4, we're going to enable traffic analysis. So to enable that, go to traffic analysis and then click this operational status enabled. Traffic analysis is a feature of Ubiquiti devices, which has the capacity of doing the deep packet inspection, by which the router can see the host, what are kind of is being accessing with. So if they are browsing some websites or applications, hit yes on that. So we're done with step number 4. Moving now to step number 5, we're going to enhance our failover config. So to enhance failover config, let's go to config tree and then go to load balance, group G, uh, LB local metric change. Let's make this one enabled, and then let's go to protocols, static, and then route, and then yep, expand the 00 route. Next hop. 103 is our secondary ISP. This is a gateway of secondary ISP. Gateway is 103.127.129. So let's put this one ISP2 price description, and then let's have this one a higher administrative distance value of 10, and then that's it. Let's go to our to the gateway of primary. That is PLDT, as you can see in the diagram below. Gateway is this one. We're going to set the description on primary ISP, ISP1 underscore PLDT. Let's set a lower administrative distance compared to the secondary. So the trick is the lower the value of the administrative distance, that is the one being used in selecting the best path. So whenever two ISPs is up, and then the router will check the gateway with the lowest administrative distance and use it whenever the host PCs will go to the internet. Okay? So PLDT is set to 1 administrative distance, and then let's save the config, preview, apply. Another configuration has been applied successfully. So that's it for task number 5. And now I think we're going to have the last task is that is to test the internet connectivity and failover config of our router. Let's have speed test in here. So now as you can see, our two ISPs is connected. At 0 is our PLDT, and then S1 is our secondary. Then we're going to check the routing tab. As you can see, ISP1 is enabled, and then backup ISP is disabled. So whenever we're going to run speed test, PLDT should be the one reflected in the testing. So as you can see, we have PLDT as the ISP now. So running PLDT, let's run ping Google -T. Tracing route going to 8.8. This should use the gateway from PLDT since it is our primary ISP. So as you can see, from our router, second hop goes to our gateway in primary ISP 115.146.1.8.1, as in the diagram with the static configuration. Okay, so if we're going to disable primary ISP, the router should fall back to the backup route. So I'm going to disable interface 0. Yes. Then as you can see on the ping, we should see, yeah, we only have 1 second of timeout, and then the backup ISP kicks in, which is our reserve connection. So if we're going to run speed test again, they should have Rise as the ISP. Now, as you can see, we have Rise detected on speed test. And then if you're going to test route on that, second hop goes to secondary ISP gateway, which is the 103.83.227.129, which is found in our diagram below. Gateway, secondary ISP. So that's it. So what if we're going to enable back our primary ISP, and based on our config, secondary would become a backup. So enabling now. It's just a broad persistent ping on Google. So as you can see, we have the status of our interface now is connected. And then on the ping, we don't see a timeout on that. So connection will not be interrupted whenever our primary comes back, and secondary will become the backup. So if we're going to run speed test, a speed test should detect PLDT as the ISP here. Now as you can see, we have PLDT now. If we're going to have a trace route going to Google DNS, we should be getting hop number 2 should be on our PLDT gateway. Yeah, this one. So okay, that's it. Our config works. So to recap, the thing that we have done in this video is we have reset the Ubiquiti ER4 to factory settings, then configure dual ISP, configure basic settings, enable traffic analysis, enhance failover config, and then we have tested the connection and the failover configuration. So this ends the video. Thank you for watching. Bye.